welcome to Cinema Smackdown for Sunday, August 18th, 2019. I'm Michael Brody, and I'm joined today by Shane Simmons. Shane, it's been a while. How you doing?
Viewer discretion is advised. Today is the R-rated version. Some of us are semi-naked, if not completely naked, because it's hot in here.
Is that what qualifies us as an R-rated show?
Well, you know, a nipple slip here and there, and eventually it's just not fit for public broadcast.
I guess that's just how it goes sometimes. So, this week, our show is going to, in a very strange way, focus on this weekend's release of the second season of Mindhunter on Netflix. Now,
I'm always so tempted to call it Mindhunters, right, after the movie that is not related.
Well, it's
related in topic, but...
And that's it.
Yeah.
Also in many murders, but not... They're very different murders. The movie Mindhunter is a thriller. I would go so far as to call it a wildly exploitational film.
Sure.
Almost a comedy in many moments, although it is deeply horrific in many of the ways that it depicts murder.
Well, you know, those FBI profilers, they're so wacky.
Which, anyway, that's a running Harlan movie from 2004, whereas this is the, I want to say showrun David Fincher show. I'm not sure that's quite the right way to put it, as he's not the...
He's certainly the front man for it.
Yeah, he's not the creator of the show, but he is certainly the biggest name that is associated with it. The fascinating thing
and he might have a bit of a track record with serial killer type material, so that's probably why they've stamped his name all over it.
Yeah, it's his fourth major serial killer thing, I believe. Yeah, that's about right.
I don't know, that Benjamin Button sure killed a lot of people.
We'll get through the list of what his actual credits are in a little while. I wanted to mention the interesting connection about this series and major film directors. There are 3 directors this year who've done all the episodes. So what we're talking about is 3 episodes directed by Fincher, I believe 3 by Andrew Dominic, and 3 by Carl Franklin, all of whom are really well-established cinema directors, so it's interesting to see them go to work on a TV show where it's mostly guys in suits sitting across other guys in suits at tables.
Or more like guys in suits sitting across from guys in prison uniforms.
That's true, there's a lot of that. But let's be clear, I think there's actually more scenes of men in suits talking to men in suits in this season. There's an awful lot of that. There's precious little guys in jumpsuits in this season. I guess we can talk about that a little bit, but unlike the previous season, there are far fewer interviews.
That's true.
They don't focus nearly as much on that, and...
Have you binged through it yet?
I watched 7 of 9.
Oh, okay, you leapt ahead of me, because I'm still at 3.
Well, let me tell you about the spoilers in episode 7. Sorry, I didn't realize that you hadn't barreled through the whole thing.
I was going to for the show, and then I realized, you know what, I really like this show too much to burn through it that quickly. I'd rather savor it a little bit.
So you did not actually reach the Manson episode?
I have not.
I just so... There's nothing to do with Mindhunter. I never want to hear the name Charles Manson ever again in any circumstance, be it historical.
Oh, but we have to celebrate that 50th anniversary. It's just a year-long celebration.
I just wish it was the 50th anniversary of his brutal death, because I'm so tired of...
Oh, I'm sure we'll make it that long.
I'm just very, very tired of people doing their Manson impression. It's enough. I've seen it too many times now, done too poorly, in too many ways. I've probably seen 15 different actors. It might be double that, play Manson in a variety of different TV and film roles. The most annoying of which was probably Matt Smith, who was a former doctor.
Well, Matt Smith is annoying by nature.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of Matt Smith. I did not like his Manson, although it was a pleasant surprise to see Matt Smith with actual eyebrows, something he does not actually own. His hair is so fine and so light that he basically looks like an eyebrowless man, and that's kind of off-putting on occasion.
Whereas Mancy is a shaggy, dark hippie.
So they put wigs and... Did I already make this joke on the show?
You did.
And eyebrow merkins on it. So, I mean, it's too good a joke.
Yeah, how can you not repeatedly talk about Matt Smith and eyebrow merkins?
Well, we're talking a little bit about Mindhunter, and what can I say about it? So, I do love this show. I love the tone. I will make one massive complaint about the show, which is not plot-related. It has nothing to do with actually enjoying the series. It has terrible terrible heavy-handed music. I am so sick of watching scenes of, again, men in suits carrying briefcases walking down airport corridors with music like the last 10 minutes of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's not necessary, guys. Like, it's okay for a moment to be a moment. We don't have to know this following scenes will be filled with dread. Get ready now while they're getting in a taxi. And there's an awful lot of that. And when I notice the music, it's a bad sign. It means you're not doing your job properly.
Yeah, they are trying to maintain the grim tone even in the more mundane moments.
There are a few mundane moments in Season 2 that are perfectly calm, normal scenes, and the music is screaming at you, get worried, get nervous, while the characters are fine. They're completely content in their moment, and you're like, no.
Yeah, the thing is, I have no worry for any of these characters. I don't feel dread for any of them. They're just doing a job.
Well, enjoy episode 7. Anyway, enough jokes.
Is that when we have a Game of Thrones call of the cast?
No, it's when Bram shows up and takes over the department.
Oh, okay.
Bram.
Yeah.
That's how into Game of Thrones I am. I can't even pronounce the names.
There's Braun and a Bran, so you gotta sort them all out.
Well, they build up all those.
Bran's the one with the best story.
They build up all those Bran scenes in the openings of Mindhunter, where we see completely unrelated people doing, well, mundane things that are super ominous. There's a lot of mundane moments.
I don't know. There was a barbecue scene where I was crapping my pants. I didn't know if he was going to flip a steak or not.
Yeah. You know, I guess...
I'm making fun of it, but I actually really like this show.
I know you do. I guess it would be worth mentioning that, since we haven't remotely summarized this show, that it is effectively, for the people who don't know what Mindhunter is, and a friend of mine just realized Season 2 was out, and realized they had not watched Season 1, and that the pedigree of the show was such that they had no idea why they hadn't watched the show, just this realization of, that just sort of went under my radar. I guess the best way to put it is, it starts in the late 70s, does it not?
Around 75, 76.
Alright, so it starts in the 70s, and it is essentially the birth of the Mindhunters division of the FBI.
The idea that perhaps we should be psychologically profiling these multiple murderers as a better means of understanding who they are, why they do what they do, and how to catch them and prevent future ones.
Yeah, and so...
And it was very innovative at the time.
Oh, and frankly, for television, it feels very innovative now to have a show that's so calm. It is about two gentlemen who basically... What's the right word for this?
Interview.
No, I was going to say they started this whole process. They were pioneers of the interview process by which you go and you interview multiple murderers and find out why they do what they do and what their different techniques are and or their mindsets so they can track the next person who will be doing
and it goes from being this little fringe thing at the FBI to a growing department of increasing importance.
And there's no question that the cast is superb, and the writing and direction is also, well, it's basically Fincher level. It's extremely tight. It's really professional. I would say, while I do really love this show, it is a touch slow. I could use a few less walking down corridor scenes. They do have a few of those.
But you get to see so many amazing 1970s airports.
They do have great moments, and that stuff is great. They do the architecture and the cars and the haircuts.
And the smoking on airplanes. Oh, how we all miss that.
Indeed. At any rate, that's the Mindhunter show, which has been on now for 2 seasons, 2 short seasons. It's easy to watch.
Yeah, they're 10 episodes a piece, right?
Well, season 2 is 9 episodes.
Oh, it's 9? Okay.
I believe the 9th episode is probably feature-length. I have not checked this yet.
Okay.
But I was told that David Fincher directed the first 2 and last 2 episodes of season 2, but he's only directed 1 episode at the end of season 2. He directed the first 2, but only 1 at the end. So
no, it's first 3 of season 2. Yep. No, I was watching. It's like I was surprised that the 3rd episode is like, oh, it's still Fincher, huh?
Okay. Well, at any rate, he does the final one as well, which I'm not at. I was far more surprised. I mean, I knew it was David Fincher's project, so it's not a shock that he directed a bunch of these episodes. This is much like a few years ago he did House of Cards, and he shepherded that into existence, and I believe directed episodes in seasons 2, maybe season 3 as well. And then kind of fell off like everyone else did, including the creator of House of Cards, bailed at a certain point.
The broadcaster, everyone dropped off of
It's an
House of
odd,
Cards.
but talk about when we watched the last season of Game of Thrones, you said, well, they limped that over the finish line, and wow, do they ever limp over the finish line for House of Cards. They set up a major plot in the second to last season, and then with all of the scandals and all of the mess, they just...
Yeah, well, then your star burns down his entire career, and...
They still managed to throw something at the wall for the final season, which was... Part of it's great, and part of it is, well, there's no world in which this makes sense. Why are you telling this story? So, it's a very odd choice. But Fincher had nothing to do with the final season of House of Cards, as far as I know, so I don't blame him for that. But at any rate, Mindhunter Season 2 features 2 other major film directors. Paul Franklin, who did, let me just have a look at my list here, he's made about 10 movies, but 2 of them are very notable. He did Devil in a Blue Dress in 95, and he did One False Move in 1992,
yes.
which are delightful crime films, or film noir. And when I say delightful, I don't mean happy. They're not happy movies. He's made another 8 or so movies that are all fine, but those are the 2 that really spoke to me personally. And I'm quite a fan of both of them. One False Move is a fantastic, very racist movie. It's hard to watch that one without really feeling the bigotry and racism card being played pretty hard. And it's a movie written by Billy Bob Thornton, so you know what you're in for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he has a real point of view. And Devil in the Blue Dress features, I believe, an Oscar-winning performance by Don Cheadle. Didn't he win the Oscar for playing that character? He was certainly nominated.
No, it's for playing War Machine.
There we go.
You know, because he's so good in that part.
Well, you know, I thought he was a little weak in that first Iron Man movie, but he clicked right up for me in the second one. That made perfect sense. At any rate, that's Paul Franklin, and before I get to the next person on our list, I think we're going to do a quick commercial break. So,
Ooh, suspense.
I know, and then we'll be right back talking about the career of Andrew Dominic. That went fast.
Considering a master's, MBA, or
15 minutes, I
degree,
think.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Thursday, October
Close the
3rd,
door
in your
just so we can get some more
calendar, head over to the LA
cool air in here.
Yeah, sure.
To the Study and Go Abroad Fair. The best part, admission is free.
Our follow-up show won't be in either, so...
Oh, no?
Nope. Everyone's taking the summer off.
Yeah.
Expo opens
Everyone's
at 3
smart.
p.m., but the first
Not
session
us.
starts at 2 p.m.
Why? You got something to do?
Apparently not.
I got cats to pet.
Welcome to the kitchen, Nancy. Your order, please.
I'll have 2
Number
number 9.
9.
Number 6.
I like this.
At least someone's doing a voice reasonably well.
45.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. This ain't that type of kitchen. This is what we got.
Yeah, this is a better ad than the usual fare.
It's tolerable.
Tune in every Wednesday night at 9 p.m.
I didn't know what
It's not wooden and cue cardy
I
like
didn't
so
know I was
many of the
programming when I threw
others.
that up there. But you're right, it's not terrible.
Gotta eat to keep your strength up, man.
Like the man said, you gotta eat to keep your strength up. That's a fun ad. We're back on CJLO 1690. Our show is called Cinema Smackdown, and today we are talking about the release of Season 2 of Mindhunter, and along with that, all of the filmmaking that goes into it, the feature filmmakers who are directing all the episodes.
And
thoughts
quite a
on
crop
their
they are.
careers. So let's do Andrew Dominic next before we leap into the big fish.
Mm-hmm.
So Andrew Dominic is an interesting director. He's actually from New Zealand, which I just found out by looking him up, because his films don't strike me as particularly New Zealandy.
Yeah, well, after Peter Jackson defined what New Zealandy is for filmmakers.
Well, his first movie's Chopper,
Right.
which interestingly starred then comedian Eric Bana. The man was
Oh, he's still
only-
plenty funny.
But he was only known as a garbage stand-up comic.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
truly bottom of the
I
barrel,
will
goofy
put to you, sir, that I don't think we've ever laughed harder in a movie than we did at him and Hulk.
It wasn't him, it was Nick Nolte.
Well, it was Nick Nolte who, he sort of took the stage as the greatest comedian of that particular film. However, the entire affair was quite humorous
It
to
was
us.
quite humorous. At any rate, yes, Eric Bana, who is now considered to be quite the serious thespian, at the time of his casting in Chopper was quite well known as a comedian and nothing else. And he put on about 100 pounds of muscle for that movie and is, even by his current standard of fame, unrecognizable as Chopper.
Yeah, that movie, unfortunately, is forever tainted for me because I have an Australian friend who loves that film, and he always calls it Chopper.
Chopper.
Chopper. And I cannot not hear that title as Chopper.
I'm not a huge fan of it, nor am I a huge fan of the Tom Hardy vehicle Bronson. Similar films in that they are both about a guy in prison who's got a huge personality and gets stabbed a lot. At any rate, Dominic burst onto
So the
scene.
Jeffrey Epstein story.
As far as I know, there was no stabbing.
Yeah, well,
That's left out of all the corner
well, I'm sure a lot's left out of the coroner reports.
How dare you, sir? How dare you say that anything about that was anything but above board? At any rate, Dominic burst onto the scene in 2000, the year 2000 with Chopper. It took him 7 years to make his next movie, which was the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, starring Brad Pitt. And
Who made it a contractual obligation that they not change the title.
yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, because it's the sort of thing, as soon as marketing gets a hold of that, said, we're not calling this movie this.
Yeah. It's the first real performance by Casey Affleck, which I will argue is now the performance he parodies in every other movie he makes.
What, you weren't a fan of his previous performance in Jerry?
I am no longer a Casey Affleck fan, as I find his method for acting is something like get super high, try to say the words, fail mostly, go back to my trailer. That is how I believe he performs. I do not understand anybody giving him props as an actor at this point. They give him an Academy Award for a performance.
It is a
that's
terrible,
outrageous.
however, missed opportunity that he didn't get to play Robin opposite his brother's Batman.
Agreed.
That would have been amazing.
I think he should play Robin in that Joker movie and have Joaquin Phoenix bash his head in.
Okay.
For you?
Sure.
Joaquin Phoenix is
Speaking of lesser brothers,
is the counterpoint actor I would use for Casey Affleck of what on earth are you doing? This performance is terrible. Why are you giving him Academy Award nominations? That's pretty much my opinion of all of Joaquin Phoenix's career, with
yeah, you know I'm gonna
exceptions.
throw it in your face.
Notable exceptions for both. Both of them have one or two performances where I'm like, oh, this works. But for the most part, now that I've seen what you do in other movies, I would never hire you on the off chance that you turn in a Jerry. At any rate,
I do not blame Jerry on either Matt Damon or Casey Affleck. I blame it on Gus Van Sant, who can burn in hell.
that man is unimpeachable. He went straight from that to making Elephant. I don't understand what the
Oh
problem
yeah, and Last Days. I mean, come on, it's just a trilogy of wonderment.
It's a trilogy of
Paint drawing.
We don't need a script. People don't watch actors stand still. At any rate, I like the assassination of Jesse James.
Oh yeah, no, I'm quite a fan of
It
the
has
film.
tone. I wasn't sold on this director when I saw it. I wasn't a fan of Chopper, so it was just a better movie. It would be a hard movie to watch again, as I believe it's 2.5-ish hours.
It's 240.
Yeah.
It's a haul,
and well, like I said, while I like
and
it,
it's not quick paced.
it is the movie it's supposed to be. It's good that it exists. It wouldn't be an easy rewatch.
You know, there was a 4-hour cut of that film originally.
I would love to see that.
Oh yeah.
But
Well,
all these
it
movies-
played at the Venice Film Festival.
All of these movies that are a little hard to get through, sometimes the longer version feels faster. It just depends on the film itself. At any rate, finally in 2012, so we're talking, he had a 7-year gap between movie 1 and 2, and then a 5-year gap between movies 2 and 3. It is currently 2019. He has not made another film since his 2012 film, which was called Killing Them Softly, which I consider to be a minor masterpiece.
Yeah, we both love that film.
It is the movie by which you then get a free pass for life for me. That's how that works. You make a movie this good, you can make 50 terrible movies in a row, and I was to watch them all in the hopes that you will somehow come back around. And Killing Them Softly is based on a George V. Higgins novel, which is called
Coogan's Run?
Trade.
Trade, yeah, okay.
Coogan's Trade. It is a phenomenal little film noir. Brad Pitt is amazing in this movie. Every single actor is amazing. Scoot McNairy is amazing in this movie.
Yep. Richard
And
Jenkins.
I don't remember Richard Jenkins being in it.
Oh, well, it's him and Brad Pitt in the last scene,
Oh, that's
which
correct.
is my favorite thing in the movie.
It's been a while since.
It's one of those scenes where it's just a conversation, and I realize, wait, the film is ending in a scene, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the punchline is fantastic.
That's right. It's I do remember that sequence now. And James Gandolfini, career high for me.
Yeah, kind of.
Playing a confused and broken mobster character.
Mhm,
Quite fond of that. And there's an Australian actor whose name I'm totally forgetting who plays the Skrull in all the recent Marvel movies.
Oh, him, yeah. Mendelsohn.
Yeah,
Ben Mendelsohn.
Thank you. He's also phenomenal in this movie. The level of performances that Andrew managed to pull out of people for just the movie Killing Him Softly. Again, it's like, well, free pass for life, whatever you do. By the way, George V. Higgins, who wrote the novel version in the early 70s, he also wrote a book called The Friends of Eddie Coyle.
Ah, yes. Legendary 1970s crime film.
Yeah, made into a crime film in the 70s starring Robert Mitchum, which again is just a masterpiece. It is lusciously filmed. It's got mood like no movie has mood.
It puts you in the crime world the way no other crime film I've ever seen does. It feels mundane and real and engaging. And Killing Them Softly is similar in tone.
Well, there's one thing to mention about The Friends of Eddie Coyle. The movie is an adaptation of the novel, and it omits many scenes. Although it's a very slim novel, it still has a lot more content than the film manages to get to. Nearly every word that doesn't make it into the movie was stolen by Quentin Tarantino and stuffed unceremoniously into Reservoir Dogs. There are entire sequences, like nearly full chapters of The Friends of Eddie Coyle, that have been repurposed as anecdotes in Reservoir Dogs. It happens twice.
Tarantino plagiarizing? Oh, I never, sir.
Yeah, there's two entire sequences in Reservoir Dogs where someone tells a story, and if you've read The Friends of Eddie Coyle, you look around the room like, where's the credit for him taking that book and adapting it here?
Well, someone should get a pair of pliers and a blowtorch and go medieval on his ass. Oh, wait, that's something else he stole.
Is it?
Yeah, Charlie Varick. The
That
Walter
line?
Matthau. That line, yes.
I've seen Charlie Varick, I don't remember that bit.
Yeah, the pliers and blowtorch, yeah.
Well, it's certainly not a
Delivered by John Vernon in Charlie Varick.
it makes me want to rewatch Charlie Varick, which I believe I'm fond of. It's been a while.
It's okay.
I like
It's
any
minor.
movie with Walter Matthau being a heavy.
Oh, yeah, God, yeah. No, well, basically any movie with Walter Matthau. I love Walter
But
Matthau.
He's not my favorite comedian, believe it or not.
No, not a
His
comedian,
comedy.
but yeah, when he's just being wry, as he is in, say, Pelham 1, 2, 3.
I was literally just going to say that Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 it's a miracle movie in which it equally balances crime stuff, heavy drama, and oddly light comedy, mostly through Matthau, and yet completely
Speaking
convincing.
of yet something else that Tarantino stole from.
Yeah, I know. A lot of Reservoir Dogs comes from the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Incidentally, in case you get confused, never do yourself a favor. Never ever see the remake.
Yeah, that's very true. But
Dear listeners.
all of the latter half of Tony Scott's career is
Skippable.
horrible, just terrible choices overall. I have said this many times, but Tony Scott's career is very well, filmmaking-wise, cinematography-wise, I find these movies absolutely beautiful. Right up until the year 2000, when he did Spy Game with Brad Pitt, which is
That was the last one I tolerated, though.
But that is the movie in which he develops his shaky cam, weird choice.
He starts to go
editing.
over stylized
Yeah.
with the weird subtitles for people speaking other languages, and that one still works though because he mostly restrained himself to different color palettes for different segments of the film. Whereas right after that, what was his next one after that?
There's so
Was it the
many
Denzel
terrible
one of the
movies.
Denzel Washington
There's
ones? It's
Deja Vu.
that's the one I was thinking
There's
of.
Domino. There's
Yeah.
all these films that just the film itself is shaking.
Whatever
so
he started to
hard I
scratch
can't
the
watch it.
surface of in Spy Games, he goes all in for the rest of his career and is garbage.
But while I was watching Spy Games, I just had a bad feeling. The whole movie just gave me a bad, off-putting feeling, and I could tell it's sort of still good, but I'm not.
I do like that one though.
And ultimately, yeah, his career from that point just quietly just goes down the drain, film by film by film. I like them less.
As long as you didn't say went off a bridge, but
well, you know,
yeah.
I'm trying to be respectful to the surviving 80-plus-year-old family members who are still making bizarre and unnecessary.
Doesn't he have 50 or 60 nephews?
Probably. His brother is well into his 80s and still cranking out those Aliens sequels.
And has about 5 emergency backup sons to carry on his career.
Oh, that's true. I do like one of his sons.
At this point I've gotten them all confused.
I've gotten them all confused, but one of his sons did make...
What, Plunkett and McLean?
Plunkett and McLean.
There we go.
Oh, I'm sorry. Another one of his sons directed a little film called Morgan. Different
Oh,
son.
that one. Okay,
And I
yeah.
think Morgan is again, I use this expression once in a while, it's a minor masterpiece. But it's not a classy movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a trash film. But it's a wonderful trash movie. You haven't seen it yet, have you?
No, I do have it lying around somewhere, but...
It has a Paul Giamatti cameo.
Okay.
That is the kind of cameo you dream of having as an actor. It's tight. It's brilliantly scripted.
Well, I guess I better see it because someone's bound to say to me, I loved you in Morgan. Paul Giamatti is my doppelganger for people who are only listening to this.
My review of Morgan, and I'll quickly go off to that before we come back to David Fincher, my review of Morgan is, it's a horror movie about a situation, and for a chunk of the movie, like a good chunk, the movie is basically saying to you, you never know, she might not be that bad. Maybe she's not that bad. Maybe she's not that bad. That's kind of the way the dialogue goes. People keep defending this particular character. It's like, just embrace the fact that this is about to become a full-blown horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Never say to yourself, oh, what path are they taking us down? Maybe it'll turn to be a happy film. No, this is almost a slasher movie level of a character is about to prove how awful they really are. But there's a lot of psychologists talking about, maybe there's this.
So it's the
there's that.
prequel to Brightburn.
It's a much better film than Brightburn.
Okay, good.
Much better. It is a little nasty the way that Brightburn is, but at any rate, I'm a big fan of Morgan, and I believe I might be the only one. It's not a well-reviewed movie, but I was quite taken by it.
Okay, well, screw David Fincher. Now we're doing the all Scott family episode.
Well, we've covered Andrew Dominik's films, and I like I said, I couldn't be more excited to see new movies by him. He has one that I believe is in pre-production and another that's on the slate, but as we will learn talking about David Fincher's career, there's always movies that are about to be made that don't quite get there.
Oh, hey, fingers crossed for his project World War Z 2.
After we talk through a little bit of his actual filmography, I'll tell you about some of his abandoned projects.
Uh-huh.
And there's a dozen that you're like, that's a lot of famous movies that he never got around to making. Some of which were talked about for decades. Over and over as, the next project, the next project, the next project. It gets pretty funny. I will remind the listener that you're listening to CJLO 1690. Our show is called Cinema Smackdown. I'm Michael Brody, I'm joined by Shane Simmons, and today we're talking about the release of Season 2 of the TV show Mindhunter, and the creators involved, who are all guys who make feature films. And that's the big leap these days, is feature directors and writers coming in.
If you do a good enough job directing feature films, they might let you do episodic television.
Yep. Or you can be a total hack nobody and still get a 19-episode Netflix series. It just seems to be, it's one or the other now. It's those middle people who are not getting a shot anymore. I have seen quite a few things on Netflix that boggle the mind as to how that
Netflix throws a lot of random darts at the board and just hopes something hits.
Yep. So, we've talked through a little bit of Mindhunter. Let's talk a little bit about David Fincher's career. I'm going to go right back to the beginning and start with his foray.
His
into
music
filmmaking.
videos?
I was going to say, after doing a big pile of very well-received music videos for Madonna and U2.
I don't actually care.
Video person,
yeah.
So I don't really. I know he did some Madonna and he did a Michael Jackson video for sure. And a few others.
He made a little film that should have ended his career right there and then.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about his first feature.
Yeah.
So he made 1992's Alien to the Power of 3.
Yeah, Alien Squared.
Whatever the hell that title was, which is tonally wrong, poorly conceived, almost horrifically directed in many spots. There are bits that don't work at all.
You can almost see, I mean...
You can almost see him in it.
Yeah,
Almost.
but it is a horribly studio interfered to death with film.
Well, I mean, this is the most obvious thing to say about Alien 3. It takes 45 seconds of the movie actually starting for you to go, well, screw this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
I have never seen the air let out of a theater so quickly by a motion picture.
they recap, tell you that everything that happened in the last movie doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Which is the
Doesn't
worst
it's the
possible way to start.
Let's start by completely demoralizing the entire audience. I saw it on opening day with a sold out crowd, and I've never heard an audience collectively go, ugh,
Yeah, it's
at
like
the beginning of a film.
the movie Aliens, the second film in the franchise, is one of the most exhilarating thrill rides ever made, and it's all about who might survive. And the end of the movie, there's a small handful of characters who make it, and you feel elated for them having made it to the end. It's a big relief.
And Alien 3 just snatches all that away from you.
In 2 seconds, they just mentioned, yeah, all those people are dead now. Oh, we're not even going to show it. It's just something we're going to mention off camera. Oh yeah, they're dead. Nice try. You wasted your time. Only you, Ripley, are basically immortal. You can do anything. Terrible, terrible opening. Bad idea if you care at all about characters.
Yeah, well, I mean, it suffered from the fact that Alien was a hit movie, and then it took them 7 years to finally make a sequel. And then it was so well received and was such an influential film, the studio realized, oh my god, we have a franchise in our hands. What do we do for the next one? And they hired every writer in Hollywood to take a shot at it. They had a million billion versions of what they could do going forward, and they finally went with something they thought was kind of safe, and it was a disaster.
Yeah, and it is not a good movie.
No.
The end. It is not a good movie. I actually know somebody who worked on Alien 3 because he was a camera assistant in England in the early 90s. And he said the mood on the set was dire. Everybody was upset every day. The director's hands were completely tied in most things. Entire sequences that were approved got yanked away from him at the last second. And the just on his part, I remember him mentioning how depressed he was because they had all the props from the previous movies. So he said right next to the set were crates and crates of those amazing modified guns that they had for aliens.
Mm-hmm.
And well, those weren't going in this movie, so they were just working with wood and clubs, I guess.
Yeah, it's like let's use twigs versus the alien in this one.
Now, I'm no fan of giant machine gun movies, but I appreciated his pain of not seeing the movie he wanted at the time. I was fine with not watching another.
They also surprisingly in a crate right next to the set had Michael Biehn. It's like in case of emergency, break glass, and no one had a hammer.
Michael Biehn actually sued that film for using his likeness in one sequence.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good. I hope he got money out of the bastards.
He was so upset with being removed from the franchise without even any kind of consultation that they either asked him or just used his image without permission, and he sued them. Which, as I understand, he made out for it, for whatever it was. At any rate, so
after being a frontman of that crap storm,
yeah,
it's amazing he had a career after that.
Well, he was still a very respected workman, competent guy who could get stuff done, and the studio was still interested in trying to try something else with David Fincher. So
And then for some reason they gave him the hottest script in town. Because I remember I was in LA at the time, and people were buzzing about the Seventh script.
That is not how that is remembered. You don't know the Seventh story, do you?
Well, no, okay. Yes, I do know how many iterations the script went through before it wound back up. By the time it was in front of the cameras, though, it was the script that we saw the film. And that was the time I was in LA, and I remember people were still talking about, yeah, that script's amazing. But yeah, it went through a lot of rewrites of crap until Fincher said, why aren't we shooting the first draft of this?
The story is very simple. So, David Fincher was looking for a thriller project, and he actually looked at a couple of serial killer movies as scripts. And he said, I don't want to make a serial killer movie, that's not my goal, but it is one of the tropes that we use to tell a thriller story. So I looked at a few different kinds of those, and then the studio sent this script called Seven my way. And then I knew, okay, I'm absolutely making a serial killer movie, I'm making this serial killer movie. He read exactly the film we've seen. And what he said was, it was the most refreshing piece in which the killer is never shown in his lab mixing chemicals, plotting his next move. And he was just so delighted to see it. And of course, the ending is just so awe-inspiring and shocking and brilliant. And he was so excited to do that story. So he contacted the studio who owned the script, and he said, "This is it. This is the movie I wanted." And he said, "I can't wait to do the head in the box scene." And they said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "You know, how it ends with a head in a box." And they said, "That's not how that movie ends." And when they looked back through the chain of events, they realized they had literally sent him draft 1 by accident, rather than draft 27, which Fincher received, and was filled with scenes of a maniac mixing chemicals in a lab and a happy ending. He immediately said, "Well, I would never make this movie," and had it written into his contract that it would be the first draft of the film if they went forward. So he got that movie made with essentially, I guess, a director's cut guarantee, because no studio is really going to let you do that to your leading lady. At any rate, so that's how 7 came to be, was the accidental shipping of the wrong draft of the script to David Fincher. And the writer got really lucky, because he toiled away on rewriting that script for about a decade of terrible rewrite after rewrite after rewrite, until they just went, "Oh, it looks like you were right the first time. Sorry."
Thanks for paying me for all those drafts. Meanwhile, I'm on the verge of suicide here.
Yeah, Andrew Kevin Walker wrote that, and Andrew Kevin Walker has essentially disappeared from Hollywood almost from the moment that film came out. He has a couple other credits.
Well, he did have that other collaboration with Fincher,
which is?
playing the neighbor in Panic Room.
Yeah, okay. But he has done uncredited rewrites on all of Fincher's films, at least a few of them that I'm aware of. And he's had a few original scripts made, but nothing major, and not certainly the body of work you would expect from somebody who's so acclaimed from his one script. He's just one of those guys who, it seems, either doesn't play the game in Hollywood, or whose voice just doesn't seem to match what people think it's going to be.
Or made enough money from all those rewrites to say, "I'm done."
Yep, that's probably the case, is that he's just probably one of those Hollywood fixers, whether he is now or just was in the 90s. It's hard to say. At any rate, Fincher made 7, which is very much a perfect film.
Also one of the most influential films of the 90s as far as defining what the look of 90s cinema was going to be.
That's very true. And it defined, along with Silence of the Lambs, 7 defined what all storytelling about murderers would be.
Yeah.
Forever, it would seem, because there are about 18 television shows on now about catching killers, and they're all derivative of those 2 movies. They use all the language from them. They're constantly drawing from main thriller-like scenes. It's just astonishing to me that a show like Criminal Minds can exist after Silence of the Lambs and 7, because it's just endlessly doing the scenes from those.
Yeah, unfortunately, both those films also usher in the whole idea of serial killer as Machiavellian super genius. Whereas, because at least that's one of the things I like about Mindhunter, the TV show, is that most of them clearly are not, and some of them are very definitely idiots.
Right. That's good. It's good to mix it up.
Yeah.
So let's move on from that. I don't have a lot to say about the game.
Nor do I. I mean, it's a gimmicky little film. He had a run in his career where he seemed to do kind of throwaway little relaxation film for him, like a depressurizing film, just to shake himself out after major work. So he was alternating between major piece of work and little film.
Well, I do still think the game is, again, a mini masterpiece. I think it
Oh yeah, it's well done, but I mean, for a Fincher, it is light fun as opposed to his heavier films.
I got kidnapped in Mexico, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt. But the game is kind of a perfect little... It's also one of those films that it's hanging by a thread between working and not working.
Yeah,
And I have seen the game ripped off many, many times in the years since, in multiple movies in which people are in situations that may or may not be real, all of which reference the movie game, which is death. You can't do that. Don't do that if you're making a rip-off of the game. It's a terrible idea. At any rate,
it's almost like making a rip-off of Groundhog Day and then referencing Groundhog Day in the last scene of the film.
Yeah, not a great idea. let's move on to a much more appropriate film to talk about in terms of Fincher, in terms of a lot of things, and specifically in terms of today's date. By chance, today is Edward Norton's 50th birthday. Now, the movie I'm about to mention is Fight Club, which came out in 99.
Yeah.
So Fight Club's 20 years old.
When he was playing, quote to quote the character, a 30-year-old boy.
It is astonishing how he embodies what I consider 30 years old to be. And to know that Edward Norton is 50 today, it just feels weirdly...
You wouldn't like him when he's 50.
1999 and Edward Norton's appearance in Fight Club also signals the final time I enjoyed Edward Norton in anything. He has gone on to have the most middle-of-the-road, nothing career since 1999. He did about 5 movies in a row between 95 and 99 that are all... You cannot take your eyes off him in... what are these movies? So there's American History X, there's Fight Club, there is Primal Fear, there's probably 1 or 2 others in there, and he's just magnificent and he's magnetic. He's really, really interesting in these movies. And
then the rest are The Incredible Hulk.
Well, he went from Fight Club to directing a movie where he played a funny priest. I can't remember what the movie's called. It's him and Jenna Elfman and Ben Stiller, and it is not good. It's an ill-conceived romantic comedy about a priest and a rabbi fighting over a girl. It's about as charming as it sounds. It's not a good film. Oh, it's called Keeping the Faith, I think. But he goes from there to roles in things like... What was that Mark Wahlberg car-stealing remake of a Michael Caine movie?
Oh, The Italian Job.
Which he was blackmailed into making by contractual obligation. Which is, you owe us one more, Ed. You're going to be the villain in this terrible movie. But his career never goes.
Well, I do appreciate that he got in a couple of Wes Anderson films, because I'm a Wes Anderson fan, so...
Sure. And if he hadn't
always happy to see them.
They'd be the exact same movie. That's the thing I mean.
Fair enough.
Admittedly, they're good movies compared to every other choice he made. I don't blame him. You look at any individual choice and you say, pretty good, not a bad career move, but overall since 99, I haven't cared about him as an actor, and I really wanted to. Fight Club and his performance in it more than anything made me say, this is the guy to watch. His voice is hypnotic in that movie. It stayed with me through all of Chuck Palahniuk's novels. You read his other books and you're like, well, I'm hearing Ed Norton talk to me.
Yeah, well...
He narrates Fight Club.
I also went from being very determined for quite a while to dislike Brad Pitt. I dismissed him as blonde, dim-witted surfer dude, and he kept making excellent career choice after excellent career choice until by the time Fight Club came out, it's like, I give up, I like this guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He's fully Robert Redford at this point.
Yeah, yeah. Now I actively look forward to seeing him in movies. So, he couldn't have been more dismissed by me when he first emerged on the scene, in his Thelma and Louise days.
Well, a month down the road of having seen it, I now consider, at least at this moment, I might change my mind one day, I now consider Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to be a massive trash fire, with only Brad Pitt's performance carrying me through it. He's great in that movie.
Yeah, he is fantastic in that movie.
Every other thing about that film infuriates me. I'm looking at Leonardo DiCaprio. Awful in this movie. At any rate, that's my opinion. I'm just...
You are mostly alone in that opinion. I've heard a lot of love for that film.
Oh, fine, but the DiCaprio performance is wretched. He is absolutely perfectly...
Your hate on for DiCaprio is duly noted, but
his casting as the confused loser, almost famous guy is absolutely perfect for me, because that's what I consider his career to be, and despite the fact they keep casting him in big roles, he never works for me. Never. He hasn't been good in a movie since What's Eating Gilbert Grape. That's the last time I was like, wow, this guy's got chops. No. At any rate, we're going to go to a quick commercial now, and come back with a little bit more chat about David Fincher. I almost forgot to go to the ad. Minute behind.
I don't know, I like the movie where the bear tells him, draw me like your French girls.
French girls? Oh, that is the line in Titanic.
Yeah.
I was like, she's not French. Oh wait, you're deep diving into the plot of Titanic. She's I'm not capable of that.
Oh, that's the line that all the girls really like. Draw me like your French girls.
Wow, we are barely going to get through these with the time we have left. We only have 13 minutes left.
Oh yeah, well, there's a lot. There's not
Well, I wanted
tremendous
to get
amounts
into
to
his
say.
unrealized projects, which is more interesting to me than his actual career.
Right.
But that's fine. Figure it out.
I mean, for the rest of them, we can practically just name check them
Sure.
because I don't have much to say. I mean, you know, I
Fight
enjoy
Club's
them.
the big one.
I enjoy them all to a certain degree, but
We got 9 seconds. We're back. This is Cinema Smackdown on TGL 1690 AM. We're chatting today about the filmmakers who are doing the current season of Mindhunter, which is David Fincher, Andrew Dominic, and Carl Franklin. We're talking about Fincher's career a little bit and realized we're running out of time, so we're going to kind of name check the rest of his resume and then talk a little bit more about his unrealized projects, which are a lot more interesting because there's some weird stuff in there that he almost made, or that has been jonesing to make and talking about forever. So, did you have anything you wanted to mention in particular?
no. I mean, really, they're all fine films as far as I'm concerned. I do enjoy each of them in their own way.
Oh, there's like 3 in here. That
I know there's some that you're gonna despise, but you know, Zodiac I never got super excited about, but you know,
It's very
it's
competent.
well executed.
Yep.
Curious Case of Benjamin Button is often his most loathed film.
It is almost my most loathed film, period. It's up there.
Elements of it work for me.
You are a terrible person.
I am a terrible person. The Social Network, I guess humanizing Mark Zuckerberg is, if anyone can do it, it's David Fincher, but god damn, that guy's an android.
Yeah, yeah. That's,
Jesse Eisenberg does not do him justice as far as playing Commander Data.
yeah, I mean, Social Network is entertaining, but it's not the movie I needed.
No.
The problem with, I mean, I guess that's sort of my hypothesis, my concept of Fincher is he's a real perfectionist filmmaker, and everything he does is pretty exact and perfect. But I don't think he's really done movies I care about much as of Fight Club. Now, there are great films in here, but did David Fincher need to make them? I wish he had taken bigger swings.
Yeah, I mean, he brings a tone to the films that they benefit from enormously that a lesser director would just make them less of a standout film.
Well, the last 3 movies you mentioned, Zodiac, Benjamin Button, Social Network, yeah, I don't care about any of those films. He didn't need to make them. Oh, Panic Room as well. He didn't
Panic
need
Room,
to
yeah.
make Any of those movies. They're all fine. They're fine. They have their moments. They're all interesting. His next movie was Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, which already had
Yeah, we already had a good version of that.
very good version of this. And he did make arguably a better filmed version. I
Yeah.
think he did a better job of shooting it. I think he did
There's a few
much,
extra wrinkles to it that I quite like.
but I don't think he came anywhere near close to the
But it still
casting.
stinks of, it's an American film that is remaking a foreign film because Americans will not watch a film with subtitles.
Yeah.
So here's your English version.
Not casting the same actress to play the lead was a massive.
Mm.
That is the weakest point of that movie. The woman he cast is interesting. She doesn't quite match. There are way too many scenes where I just don't buy that she's that character. Whereas the original actress, Noomi Rapace,
Yeah.
is the embodiment of that character. And she's been played several times now. And
Yeah, we've had
every
3 different
version-
actresses playing
Every
it.
version is not quite as good as the first one.
Right.
The current one is definitely not.
Noomi Rapace, of course, has the benefit of playing the character 3 times in an entire trilogy. So.
Yeah, but I only like the first one. I don't care for
Yeah, well, the other 2 are glorified epilogues to the first one.
Yeah. So we go from that to Gone Girl, which is the final Fincher movie.
Which is, of that batch, is my favorite one of them.
Exactly. I was going to say the same thing. Gone Girl is the biggest swing. It is the biggest. What is this? While you're watching a movie.
Yeah.
Where is this going? What are they trying to tell me? Is this a plot twist? Wait, it's not exactly a plot twist. It's just an evolution of this.
In a way, it's kind of another brilliant serial killer movie.
Yes, very much so. She's certainly. Well,
She-
yeah.
yeah,
She
yeah,
totally is that character.
That character is the modern female version of the talented Mr. Ripley.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes me want to watch multiple sequels.
I kind of do. I got to the end of the film saying, I will watch more films with this character. If you make them, you probably won't.
The problem is they would have to include the Ben Affleck character, whose journey for me is over.
Yes, that's true.
Her journey could go on forever.
Yeah, she is a very interesting sociopath.
Yeah, exactly. So, the thing to mention now about Fincher's career is he has a project in development currently, which I'll start with, and then I'll mention all the other things he used to have in development. The project he has in development right now is called Mank,
Right.
M-A-N-K. And the fascinating thing about it is not the fact that it is a movie about Herman Mankiewicz dealing with Orson Welles on Citizen Kane. It is fascinating because it's based on a script written by Fincher's dad. And his dad passed away 16 years ago, and the script's been floating around for a while, so he might make his father's script. That's pretty fascinating. I like that idea. I'm very curious to know. His dad had actually written several biopic-type films, none of which got made. He had a competing Howard Hughes movie at the time of The Aviator that almost went. That didn't go either. And, yeah, it would be interesting to see it. I don't really need a Herman Mankiewicz movie, to be honest.
Well, could be interesting. You never know.
Yes, but it'll always just be a slice of history with somebody doing a terrible Orson Welles impression. And unless Jean Guérin gets...
I know, I was going to say,
I don't wanna watch it.
if our friend Jean Guérin lands Orson Welles yet again.
Yeah, but at this point...
How many times has he played Orson Welles at this point?
Enough.
Yeah,
but
enough.
At this point, Jean would need that Robert Downey Jr., Samuel L. Jackson de-aging program.
Yeah,
to
that's
get
true.
him into Citizen Kane.
Yeah, the 26-year-old Orson Welles of Citizen Kane era. Yeah.
Oh, Jean. But, you know, he has worked with Peter Jackson, so I think the de-aging could be done.
Good.
I think it could. So
Well, he is enough of a box office draw that that would totally spend that kind of money on him.
he is for me.
Oh, he is for me too, yeah.
You
But
put Jean Guérin in a movie, and you've got my money.
oh, that's true.
No
That's
question.
true. That's true. I don't know how that goes for the general cinema-going audience at large, but
So let's talk about a couple of unrealized projects Fincher had, because they're very interesting. And a lot of these are known, actually I think they're all known properties to one degree or another. He was for a while attached to a Strangers on a Train movie. For a while. It was a modernized version. Okay, I don't need to see that version. Like, I don't need to see that story again. Don't waste 2 years of your life, David Fincher.
yeah. Also, remaking Hitchcock is rarely a good idea for anyone to approach. And Strangers on a Train is just perfect the way it is. Thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned earlier he almost did World War Z 2.
It's still listed on the IMDb as a coming project,
Currently dead, but it keeps almost coming back. And
like
it's,
a real zombie.
Again, do I want to watch 2.5 hours, because it'll certainly be 2.5 hours, of CGI zombies chasing Brad Pitt around?
I can only hope that Fincher is of a talent level that can make that more interesting than it is in the first film, because it's not very interesting in the first film.
No, it's quite family friendly and safe in a lot of places. That are the last place you want a film like that to feel safe. At any rate, that is something that's been on the burner for a while. But here's the movies that he worked on for years and years and years and years that I've read many interviews about. He, for more than 20 years, has been talking about doing Rendezvous with Rama, which is the Arthur C. Clarke book, which was always set to star Morgan Freeman. So ever since Seven, they've been talking about making this movie.
Wow, so a movie based on a book by your favorite pedophile.
That's right. Make no mistake, Arthur C. Clarke is dead to me, as well as the world. But he's dead to me for much stronger reasons. It's one of those situations where I probably wouldn't see the film based on. No, screw him. I don't even want his estate to get my $4. If you don't know what Arthur C. Clarke's done that's so terrible, Google him. And Google him to the point where you read about the bad stuff. And then ask yourself, do we really need his work around anymore? At any rate, that's a film that he almost made many times. He now, 20 years down the line of saying it's my next project, is saying, script problems, we couldn't make it work. It's quite a path to follow to finally say, no, we never made a script work. He was attached to 3 comic book properties, 2 of which are not superheroes. Oh, sorry, 4 comic book properties, only one of which is a superhero film.
Okay.
So, he was attached for a really long time to an adaptation of the Frank Miller comic, Hard Boiled.
Oh, yeah.
To star Nicolas Cage. Which would have just...
Oh, my God.
It's just 2 hours of mayhem,
Yeah.
you know. not really a necessary.
So, like every Nicolas Cage movie.
You don't understand. The joke is, it's Eric Estrada from Chick. He was also attached to direct. We're not talking about Cage anymore. We're talking about Fincher. Fincher was attached to direct Torso. Torso is the Brian Michael Bendis graphic novel about the Elliot Ness serial killer case. I've read the book. It's intriguing. I don't quite know how you get a good 2-hour movie out of it, but power to you if you manage to make it work. He was attached to that for over 5 years. It didn't quite happen. The rights have reverted. He was attached to do Black Hole, which is a very uncomfortable graphic novel by Charles Burns about teenagers with mutations and sexuality. That doesn't really have a story, so I was concerned as to what that would be. But of course, that didn't get made either. Many, many movies he was attached to. And finally, what was the movie that David Fincher was attached to that he nearly directed, but he talked himself out of the job with his pitch in the room to the executives? He was attached to direct Spider-Man in 2002.
Huh.
He was probably the front runner to make the movie. The thing is, he went into the room with his story idea. He said, here's what we're going to do for Spider-Man. We're going to open the film with a montage of him getting bitten by a spider, becoming Spider-Man, losing his uncle, fighting all these villains, and we're going to do all that in 2 minutes, and then the movie will be the death of Gwen Stacy while fighting the Green Goblin story. And they said, no thank you. Throw him out.
Huh.
And he was unbending on that. He said, I want to get all that origin crap out of the way in the first 10 minutes.
Right.
That way we can just do it. But he basically just wanted to make Spider-Man 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the issue.
Right,
He immediately wanted to avoid the 1 hour of the character figuring himself out.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that at this point because everyone can take the origin story as read, but if there had not been a Spider-Man movie made as yet, you kind of have to do the origin.
And at that point, they had not made a billion-dollar
In the same way, please, fingers crossed, anyone who makes a Batman movie from now on, just skip his parents getting shot in Crime Alley. We know that happened. Thanks.
And yet, who knows what that next Batman film will be. We shall see. Oh, the rumor of the week for Batman? Pierce Brosnan as Alfred Pennyworth.
Okay.
Yeah,
maybe.
Well, he's an action star now, Alfred. If you're not watching Pennyworth, the TV show, he is out bonding James Bond in some scenes. So that's what we're up against with the cast.
There's a Pennyworth TV show?
I will tell you all about it off air.
Oh no.
We're about out of time. I'm Michael Brody. I've been joined today by Shane Simmons. The show has been called Cinema Smackdown. We have run down Mindhunter Season 2 and the films of David Fincher. It's been a delightful chat about wins and losses in various columns. At any rate, we're out of here for today. You guys have a great weekend, and we will see you next week at the same time. Wow, that went fast.
Oh, because when you said that, I thought, oh, that sounds like Gotham.
Well, the two gentlemen who created Gotham, the writer and director, who were both equal in how much work they did on the show. Ultimately, the director was on the show much longer than the writer was. It's the creator of Gotham, by the way, is the creator of Rome. Did you ever watch Rome?
I watched a couple episodes and then fell off, but I do want to return to it.
You can appreciate it was good.
Yeah.
So Gotham's good as well. It's very good.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to do a follow-up. So on the TV show Gotham, Alfred is, he's the butler, but he's former, SAS or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Which they allude to in the comics, but they usually just have him be in the background getting knocked out when a villain.
Yeah.
On the show, they make Alfred a tough-ass Brit bastard.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not a lead. He's just around. But whenever he has to do something, he fights, he shoots, he murders people.
Mm-hmm.
He's tough. This show is Alfred at 27, I'd say, played by an actor with the longest forward widow's peak I have ever seen. It's like he has a normal head of hair, but then a widow's peak that continues down to almost his eyebrows. So what's going on with that guy's hair? He is doing a spot-on, for better or worse, a spot-on young Michael Caine performance.
Oh yeah.
The voice is crazy Caine. You're like,
Oh yeah.
what are you doing?